Alrighty. Last time we were talking about a bank Robbie. Oh my God.
You really are from New York. Is that say New York? You go to Robbie.
Bank robbery in
Robbie.
Hay Springs. And today we're going to learn about what happened to the robbers and if good old Bill Holstein continues to entertain us. So at the end of our last episode, the bank robbers were headed west and then north. And we pick up the story with Sheridan County Sheriff R.M. Bruce and Deputy F.C. Green chasing the men until their car ran out of gas somewhere in South Dakota.
The deputies ran out of gas.
Yeah.
Not the robbers.
Not the robbers.
Maybe bring a couple of jerry cans with them.
The robbers continued to flee until they reached Deadwood, South Dakota. And like you asked last time, what was up there? Well, they were headed to Deadwood.
And that would have been a ways.
Yeah. So
because going up that way to Hay Springs, even north, won't take you directly to Deadwood. You would have had to take some finagling through the Black Hills or before that to get there. So that's interesting.
So I did look it up, and that journey today is 2 hours and 38 minutes by car. I'm not sure how long it took them, but I'm guessing closer to 4 hours because, again, dirt roads, and the cars didn't go as fast.
If they were booking it, maybe booking it, at 45, 50?
Yeah.
I don't know what those things topped out at, those cars.
Yeah,
then, but
not the 80 or 90 that I do.
On a dirt road, nonetheless, and on 1930s tires, which are pretty thin compared to nowadays tires.
Yeah. So once they got to Deadwood, the robbers split the loot, and they could go their separate ways and get away with it. But of course not, because these folks were not the brightest bulbs in the box. So, y'all...
That's disappointing. You clearly had enough sense to have probably a spare tire and enough gas to get you all the way to Deadwood from Hay Springs. So you like I said, you would have had to have a jerry can, if not two, of gas to get you that far. Because I don't think, there might have been a small town. I doubt there was, though, between Hay Springs and Deadwood.
Probably not.
Yeah.
They probably...
Unless they went through Rapid City before they went to Deadwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, otherwise... I don't know.
Yeah. So one of the robbers, Douglas DeWitt, attempted to spend some of the money at a clothing store in Parsons, Kansas. Yeah, I looked, because now we're in Kansas. What? That's my cats attacking each other. Parsons is 885 miles from Deadwood and about a 12-and-a-half-hour car ride today. So
would have been easily 2 days. Couple-day car ride back in the 30s.
Yeah. So DeWitt must have left Deadwood as soon as he got his share of the loot. Because I was trying to track things. I'm like, do I continue the podcast or do I keep my cats from killing each other? And I guess we're going to do the podcast. So, how did they know it? Your first thought is, how did they know the money was from the bank robbery? So the bills had the name of the bank imprinted on it. At the time, banks had national banknotes. There were U.S. currency banknotes that were issued by national banks that were chartered by the U.S. government. Those notes were typically backed by U.S. bonds the bank had deposited in the U.S. Treasury.
Yeah. So again, before the FDIC, before the Federal Reserve, there was no Federal Reserve yet. Or the Federal Reserve.
we had the Fed. We had the Fed, but it was nowhere near what it is today.
Yeah. When I mean Federal Reserve, I mean our what we put Social Security in and stuff. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong term.
Okay.
But like that, because I believe that came up later.
Yes, that did come up later. So because I went and looked this up, because I had thought this process had already been done by this point in time. I thought we had already shifted to the system that we have now, and we didn't. So
because it's the 1930s, so we're still in the grips, if not the aftermath of the Depression, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
In the grips of
I'm
the
going to say in the
grips. It started in what, in 20, did it start in 22 or 26?
29.
Oh, did it start in 29?
Yeah.
I thought it started way earlier than that. I thought it started in 26 for some reason. 29.
Oh, wait, 20?
So then you're right in the...
Yeah, you're right
You're
right
into it, yeah.
So according to Wikipedia, the notes were usually backed by United States bonds the bank deposited with the U.S. Treasury. In addition, banks were required to maintain a redemption fund amounting to 5% of any outstanding note balance in gold or lawful money. I don't know what the lawful money was. I couldn't figure that out. The notes were not legal tender in general, but were satisfactory for nearly all payments to and by the federal government. So you're kind of seeing the formation of the FDIC here. You got to have a certain amount in reserve, and banks still, still do. I'm not a banking expert, but there is, you and I go in the bank, give me money, and we walk away with money from our account. But the banks still do these interchanges with the government. And, like when I get a international transfer from Paul's bank in the UK to here, it kind of goes through that behind the scenes stuff that we don't see to get the money here. It's still sort of similar, but it's all electronic now, whereas this was actual notes. And
this is one of those things we kind of have to thank our British ancestors for, because that's what the bank used to do. The bank used to be ran under the crown, and the crown had the money to back it up always. And when they didn't, that's when you had the wars.
Yep. So the notes were retired with the passing of the Gold Reserve Act on January 30th, 1934. So you still had about 2.5 years of this old system. It's a little more complicated than this, but all currency was consolidated into Federal Reserve notes. Look at your money. Next time you get a dollar bill, it says it's a Federal Reserve note. And they were consolidated into Federal Reserve notes, United States notes, and silver certificates. And I still have some silver certificates. I don't know if they're worth anything.
Probably.
But
wouldn't be surprised.
I have some that I'll be passing down to my nephew. Some of them belong to my grandma, and there was a very nice lady every year for Christmas. She gave me a silver dollar or silver dollar certificate.
Oh, a silver certificate.
Yeah.
I got actual silver dollars.
Yeah.
I got one in my wallet.
Oh, there you go.
I always keep one in my wallet for luck. I don't know why. But it's a silver Liberty dollar. But it's a solid silver Liberty dollar.
So I think they're worth some money, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, the certificates. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Actually wouldn't be surprised, or depending on the years, it might be worth quite a bit. Because
maybe
I can tell you exactly how much my silver dollar is worth. It's like, I think, $35 on the market right now.
Okay.
Because it's just silver metal.
And I have a silver dollar collection now. People listening to this can't see, but if you look back there on the far bookcase, there's a blue binder next to on the top shelf there. That was put out by the U.S. Post Office, and it has one of every silver dollar. Nice. Except for there were 2 years where at the time, and they're worth way more now, they were worth hundreds. I think one of them was worth thousands because it was such a low mint year. But then the rest of them were like $20 and you got one every other month. And this was early 90s when they put that set out. So
I still look for quarters that are under, 1965?
Yep.
I think anything below 1965 is a silver quarter.
Most of them were, yeah.
So you had a good chance of getting silver. And you can tell whether they're silver if they're into the nowadays metal by how they shine. But if I'm lucky, I go to the gas station. I have my gas station, so I count my till every night. And I have a pocket full of quarters to exchange them. If I find a silver one, I'll give them a normal one. It's like, oh, pretty.
Yep. Yeah, I used to do that too when I worked at Nebraska Bookstore. The lady that was took care of all the money in the store and counted all the money at the end of the night. She and I both collected coins. So she would call me. She'd be like, "This is what I got," and we would divvy it up. And every now and then I'd be like, "Yeah, go ahead and take the the $50 because I've already got like 5 from 1972 or whatever." But we used to. Yeah.
It's actually kind of sad. I think the most valuable thing in my house is not, in fact, a coin. It is an original Pokemon card. Like one of the first ones ever made kind of Pokemon cards. And it's damn near, it's thousands and thousands of freaking dollars. And I'm like, my silver coin collection isn't even worth as much as this stupid freaking Pokemon fucking card.
Well,
but, no, I keep it. It's collected. Yeah. And I mean, it's not even mine. It's my husband's. But I mean, he got it when he first collected them. I should have done the same with mine. I collected trading cards and I never kept any of them. I gave them away and did what kids do.
Yep.
But
Yep. Same when I was little. You would flip baseball cards and you would keep the cards that you wanted because they were players that you liked. Right. I never put them in the spokes of my bikes, but a lot of kids did when I was a little kid. And then you're like, oh wow, that one that was in my bike that got trashed
money.
Yeah.
I think like an original Michael Jordan card just went for several millions of dollars. It's a Michael Jordan card. I grew up with Michael Jordan.
Yeah. And basketball cards weren't as big at that time as baseball cards were.
But it was one of his original, and he's of course Michael Jordan signed it too. So that of course added a lot to it. But an original signed Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls card that it was on the news. It went for so much freaking money. It's like, ugh.
Wouldn't that be nice to just, thanks Michael Jordan, I can retire now.
Well, the thing, the weird thing I've always noticed about the valuable things that I have, they never will make me money if I sell them.
No.
I mean, they'll be valuable to whoever's smart enough to sell them for what they're worth.
Yeah.
But if I sold them to some antique junk store, they're going to give me the $10, the $100 that they think it's worth. They're never going to. It's never works out that way. I find the people that make these serious dollars, these are people that are dealers. They're like stockbrokers. They're people that deal in this trade so much, and they have, they're like the weirdos that collect Rolex watches for hobbies. I mean, they have millions of dollars in Rolex watches, so they can do whatever the fuck they want. They find another Rolex watch, like, oh, cool, here's a Rolex watch for a Rolex watch, and that's all they do with it. So I don't know if that's real wealth or real money. It seems kind of weird. But again, back to going to this, that kind of goes back to what this is. I mean, they stole promissory notes.
Essentially, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't anything real, right? It was just federal notes. It didn't steal silver or gold or anybody's possessions. Yeah. So it wasn't what I first suggested in the last episode, that it was safety deposit boxes. So.
Yeah. And I let you go down that road because I wanted you to find out what happened. So back to our robbers. Harold Damacy was caught at the Texas-Mexico border. So he was, you know what, dude? You were in South Dakota. Go to Canada. You're closer.
Oh, shit. Why'd you go back south, you weirdo? With your compass break? You had all that money, you couldn't afford a compass?
Yeah. The article mentions the others were picked up at separate locations, but it didn't go into details about the others. I guess they did try to go their separate ways, but they were dumb.
Well, how many separate ways could you go if you're in Deadwood, South Dakota? There's not a lot out there. Yeah. I mean, at the time you had Rapid City, Keystone, Hill City, which are all small, and you don't want to go to Rapid City if you robbed a bank. And Hill City and Keystone are so small at the time, they're just minor towns, so you'll probably get in a tussle just for being an outsider. So where are you going to go?
I would have went to Canada. I mean, I know they went their separate ways, but I would have kept going north.
And in the 1930s, the reservations, still as they weren't necessarily all peaceful. I mean, there's still areas out there where you would get picked up by someone else, not necessarily a native, someone, and getting taken for a ride. So
yeah. So anyway, Holstein recalled that Domacy had previously worked in Hay Springs for a potato farmer, and it was pretty easy to figure out the bank schedule and who worked for them. Yeah, you live in a town that doesn't even have 1,000 people in it. It's not that hard to figure out who works at the bank and what their schedule is. You could probably figure that in, 2 days? Holstein was pulled out of school several times by the police, who drove him to nearby Rushville so he could identify suspects. Again, in 2025, Rushville is 12 miles from Hay Springs, so you're not getting pulled out of school for the full day today. In 1930, I'm guessing it's maybe an hour each way, and then you got to sit and wait, and then you talk to the police, and then you probably have some lunch, and then you eventually come back. It's a whole day affair at that point in time. Today, they ain't buying you lunch. They're pulling you out of school at 8:30. You're going to be there before 9. You're going to be done and home before 10. Go back to school. You still got 5 hours left. One of the strange things of the case was Holstein identified Domacy's uncle, who along with his wife were picked up for questioning because they were eating watermelon near a railroad underpass between Chadron and Hay Springs not long after the robbery. No one ever said why they were picked up, but I couldn't find any laws making eating watermelon under a railway underpass illegal.
They had weird laws, though. They
did, so
never know.
Maybe there was some weird law. Holstein later identified Domacy. The sheriff and deputy were certain they had the right man, he said. They just wanted me to confirm their findings. I was asked to stand in the window of the county attorney's office on the second floor of the Sheridan courthouse, look down below, and watch for Domacy when they took him from the jail for a hearing. So they didn't even have proper lineups. He's just like upstairs looking down at him. And, yep, that's him. Domacy wore a baseball cap, and just as he approached the courthouse, he pulled it down over his eyes. I couldn't see enough of his face. Later, when Domacy was arraigned in court, Holstein stood in the doorway and nodded to the sheriff that this was one of the participants. So Domacy knows the game. Yeah, I'm going to wear a baseball cap, keep my head down. Cop should have made him take his baseball cap off. And then, I guess then Holstein wouldn't have gotten a few more free lunches by being pulled out of school to keep going back to try and identify him. But he did eventually. And when Domacy left the courtroom and passed me, he pushed a finger into my stomach and said, "Kid, I'll get you for this."
I'll get you for this.
Oh.
You sure you didn't get this off of an Elliot Ness script?
No.
Because it sounds a lot like an Elliot Ness script.
The judge had set bond at $25,000. Holstein asked, "You aren't going to free him, are you?" To which the judge responded, "If he raises the money, we'll just increase the amount." So that's
a good judge for you. Why couldn't we have judges that nowadays like that? It's like, fuck your bond, man. Did I say 25? I meant 55, sorry.
Yeah.
Did I say 55? Sorry, 85.
Oh, and I'm just laughing at the corruption because, they're bank robbers, but you can't just keep upping the amount.
Like, what the hell?
Also, $25,000 in 1930 is $481,235.03 in 2025.
So they're not coming up with it.
No. He robbed the bank and he wasn't even smart enough to take the stuff that he could get away with. The records indicate that the men stole about $7,500 in cash, traveler's checks, bonds, and other securities.
That's not gonna make the nut for
your
bond, buddy.
In 2025, that's $144,370.51. So even if
split 5 ways. Split 5 ways.
So even if Domacy had stolen all the money, he still doesn't have enough to make bond. So all 5 robbers were later caught and pled guilty. I did try and look up to see what happened to the other robbers, but it's really hard because there's not even a lot of story or a lot of information about this bank robbery. According to the article, records in the Sheridan County District Court Clerk's office, they include the names of the robbers and their sentences. So Harold Damacy got 20 years, Forrest Cook, 20 years, Claude Hendricks, 20 years, Douglas DeWitt, 14 years, and Reed Webb, 10 years. I'm guessing Reed Webb might have been the driver because he didn't actually go in and I don't know. I couldn't even find info there, and I don't have access to historical court data.
I wonder where were they sent for jail? Because Hay Springs didn't have it. I didn't think has any kind of jail to hold somebody for 20 years. It would have been to a prison. And I know there's one in Rawlins, Wyoming, but that's a bit far away at that time.
Was the state pen not built yet?
I don't know. That's why I'm wondering.
Yeah.
And which state pen? The state pen where? Because I know the state
in Lincoln.
In Lincoln.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it was built.
I think if they would go all the way to Sioux Falls, the prison on the hill up there, I think was there by then.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that was built by then. And that's a horrible prison. It's still actually today used as a prison.
Ugh.
Yeah, horrible place.
Yeah. So all 5 pleaded guilty, and 4 were sentenced by District Judge E.L. Meyer of Alliance, and Hendrick was sentenced by District Judge E.F. Carter of Scottsbluff. And I couldn't find out any information as to why he was separated from the rest, because even if he was picked up someplace else, like Damacy was picked up at the Mexican border, they brought his butt back here. So I don't know, and I don't have access to the court records to know that.
Yeah, it's like, was one the getaway driver, was one just...
Yeah. So as a side note, Carter eventually became a Nebraska State Supreme Court justice, and there is still a bank at the location where the bank robbery happened, though today it is the Northwestern State Bank. First National and Northwestern later merged into one bank. And I believe both of those banks were in town at the time. I think they had 2 banks, and they just merged into one so they don't need the 2 buildings. While I was researching and looking for more information on the story, I saw that the Mirage Flats History Facebook page... Sorry, guys, my cats are trying to kill each other. I can't... we closed the door because my husband's washing dishes upstairs, and at the end of the last episode, everything was clanking, and now I got my cats trying to kill each other. So... While I was researching and looking for more information on the story, I saw that the Mirage Flats History Facebook page had linked to it as well, and one of the comments there read, "Very interesting article. The banker's name Morrison struck a chord for me. The big yellow house on the east side of Hay Springs on Highway 20 was built by that same Mr. Morrison. He ordered 3 sets of custom doors for that house. 2 sets were installed in his home. The 3rd set was installed in another home in Hay Springs that was being built at the same time. The spare door set was purchased as insurance in the event one of the others got damaged in shipping from where it was built. All 3 sets arrived in perfect condition." Yeah, it's a side note, but like we were talking before, people have these connection stories. It's just this neat little connection. Yeah, dude got held up because he worked at the bank, but you know what, man? He built this house and he had these custom doors made.
Well, I think a lot of people take for granted that a lot of families stay here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, especially you were talking about that book of the Sioux Falls history. You look closely enough in there. I mean, the Foxes, names. The Coffees, the Scabjolls. I mean, they've been there for I want to say, I say forever, like in jest, but I mean, they've been there for a very, very long time. Several generations. Yep. Almost up to the 1800s. up until the 1900s.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of families up there.
And the Jordans, Spike would tell me all the time about how his granddad helped build Pants Butte Road.
Exactly.
And that was a major, I don't know, maybe we should do a story on the history of Pants Butte Road, because that was a major change up there, and it cut your traveling time massively. And
something that these guys, I don't believe, had.
Yeah.
Could have helped him out.
Yeah. There you go. Oh. So back to our story. Damacy and Holstein met again about a decade later. Holstein was living in Rushville and was now part owner of a meat packing plant with his brother. So he's about 25 years old at this point in time. Holstein and some other residents in town wanted to see the Nebraska Cornhuskers play in the Rose Bowl, which I went and I looked up. It was on January 1st, 1941. So they traveled to Lincoln to board a train to Pasadena, California, which, I mean, I don't know. I know the train stopped for a while, and then it started again, then it stopped for a while. I don't know if the train runs through Lincoln anymore. I couldn't tell you.
The railways all changed by then.
Yeah, but that was in 1941. There were quite a few passenger lines that ran through Nebraska. So they all traveled to Lincoln to hang out for a little bit and catch the train. And you also want to be there early because, again, it's 1941. You had the Eisenhower highway system went in after the war, didn't it? After World War II? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you've got some paved roads, but you still got a buttload of dirt roads, and coming from Hay Springs, you're probably mostly dirt roads.
I think it's all dirt roads in Nebraska still. I don't think there was much anything paved yet. Until the Eisenhower project came about and you had highway... Route 66,
Route 66, Highway 6, yeah. So, they got to build in extra time in case something happens, and they want to make sure they're there to catch the train because the train ain't waiting for them. So they had 2 extra days to wait for the train when they got to Lincoln, and Holstein calls a friend who worked in the state pen. So there you go, the state pen is up and running. In 1941, it's up and running. And
apparently it's cool to take a tour.
Yeah, asked a friend for a tour.
A tour?
Yeah, no.
Never saw Sing Sing before.
So his friend arranged a tour, and on little notice, because keep in mind, he's got to catch a train in 2 days.
Yeah.
And during the tour, Holstein saw Damacy, who was a cook in the jail. So at first we didn't recognize each other, he said. Finally we did. I said, Damacy, I didn't know it was you. He asked, Holstein, what are you doing here? I said, we're leaving on that special train for the Rose Bowl tomorrow. Damacy replied, I wished I had been a good boy so I could go with you. I'm thinking embellishment, I don't know.
Well, 10 years at the pen.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've actually seen that. Some very, very hardcore, like, gangbuster people do 10 years in the pen and come out, and they're pretty mellow. I mean, the system does work in that way. It does what it's supposed to do. It's going to break you apart.
Yeah.
And if you don't learn, you're going to go back in. And a lot of people do. Not all of them, but a lot of people
do. Yep. So Holstein said that it was the last time he ever heard about Damacy or any of the others. And I know our jails are terrible compared to other first world country jails, but they were even worse back then. So I would imagine, even today, being a cook is a privilege.
Absolutely. That's the best job to have in a prison.
Yeah.
I can tell you that without ever being in a prison, that's the best job you could ever hope for. You won't starve, and anything you can nick from the kitchen, you can use as commissary for the other inmates who will love you for it. I would actually love to do a story with a couple of my friends who have been in the prison system in and out for most of their lives. They tell you fascinating stories about prison life that, I hope for the rest of my life. I've never, ever seen the indoor of a jail, let alone a prison.
Oh, my God.
Like that cat's about to go to prison. But no, it's... my parents, speaking of old prisons, that's... my parents took me to one of the old prisons in Rawlins, Wyoming.
Okay.
That'd be another really fascinating one to do a piece about, even though it's a bit farther away. But it's a creepy prison. We're talking like up there with Shawshank. I mean, it's just creepy. It reminds you of Shawshank. It's just it's old. It's very eerie. You go in. Of course, it's not used anymore. It had, when I was a kid, it hadn't been used for decades before then. So everything was rusted and clinky and echoing and just awful. And you just go into a place like that and you never want to go there. So my parents did me right. They scared me straight without doing anything as drastic of actually putting me in a real prison. I just got to go to the history of the old prison. I didn't want to go there.
And I got to tour 2 prisons. One was when I was in Leadership Scottsbluff, the county jail here. I got to tour when half was adults and half was youth, and I got to tour the whole thing. And then not long after that was when the one guard was killed by one of the youth in the jails.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I forget the young lady's name, but she was a mother, single mom, and
God, I wish she was sleeping, I believe.
No,
that's what I heard.
No.
Not that one.
No, not that one. One of the youths lured her into his cell area, and I forget what he was talking about, but he pointed that it was under the bed. And when she bent over, another dude came and strangled her. And they expected to be able to get out, and I don't know how, because they took her keys and had planned to get out, but the only way out of the jail, you have to go through this long hallway twice, where you're literally you go through the door, you cannot go through the next door until someone opens the door, and then you're in a confined area.
It's almost like someone thought of this.
Yes, yeah. And then the other one, I was 21 or 22. I was taking a crime and juvenile delinquency class at UNL, and as part of an assignment, we toured the jail. Willie Ote was still alive then, and all of the boys in my class got whistled at. None of us girls got whistled at.
Interesting.
And I got yelled at for lollygagging because there were 2 dudes out in the yard playing chess, and I stopped and was watching them play chess, and they're like, "Come on!" And then I had arranged an interview with a couple of other people with this dude who was doing life. He murdered somebody at 18 for $50, and if you didn't tell me, I would swear he was Jerry Garcia's twin brother. That's what he looked like, and he had earned his own room at that point in time. And he was talking about then how he had completed all the stuff he could complete to get a bachelor's degree, but UNL required your last 15 hours, so your last 5 classes had to be on campus in person. And he was like, so I can never get this. And
well, you're serving life in prison. Who cares if you do?
Yeah.
I don't mean to be that way, but good for you for finally picking up a book.
Yeah.
But, you're not going to do anything with that.
And he enjoyed talking to the public and talking to people about this isn't worth it. I ruined my life at 18. He was in his early 60s then, there's nothing he could do. He's never going to get out. So he decided that he didn't want to be with those other people in the prison. In Gen Pop. I mean, he is kind of in Gen Pop, but he had his own room, and he had the freedom that if he just wanted to go, you know what, screw you, Connor, and he could go back to his room and close his door, be alone. And not everybody could do that. So that was one of his goals, and he decided he wanted to be educated. He wanted to learn stuff. He had a little black and white TV. It was like 11 inches, and he had a radio. And literally when he had to order them, get special permission from the jail to order them in his room. And when they arrived, the prison guards, whoever's assigned to this, took everything apart, even though it came straight from the company that made the TV and the radio. They took everything apart to make sure there was nothing inside of it. So you could see he truly was a changed man, but there's nothing he could do. He ruined his life at 18, and he just tried to make the best of it from then. So even though it sounds...
And I think, I don't know, I believe in some forgiveness and advocacy and...
Yeah, after 40 years, let the guy out.
I don't know how many years it takes to do that. I mean, we just talked about the Minotaur guy that got killed, and he only got, 25 years?
Yeah.
26 years? That's it. That's it for killing a guy back then. So I don't know why we've gotten so... I guess the more
it's more punishment.
The more against the death penalty we go, the more for the longer sentences that's a necessary punishment. But I don't know if that's the right way either.
And I still think we need to be better at rehabilitation. We just shove people in a building for 25 years and then expect them to be okay. And okay, you can leave now.
Oh yeah.
And they can't function. I remember even back when we watched Shawshank Redemption, I saw it in the theater, and it didn't surprise me that that one dude hung himself. I can't remember his name.
I don't remember
because he couldn't function on the outside, and it was really, really sad. But I completely understand that. You spend 20, 30, 40 years in jail. I mean, let's say even you went to jail in 95. If you're getting out now, think about how many things have changed in the last 30 years.
And how much you were privy to that change.
Yeah.
Because you'd obviously feel it, experience it, see it in little ways, little technologies that are around you, but you won't be able to fully experience it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even though it sounds goofy that Damacy said he wished he had been a good boy, I can still see where he might have said that.
Oh, I'm sure he was sincere.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was sincere.
Yeah.
10 years into it, that's a decade of your life gone.
Yep.
Can't imagine that.
I can't either. So back to the story. The reason this robbery is mostly forgotten is likely because there were several robberies in the state that week. So going all the way back to the beginning where we were laughing about, he was like, oh, is it our turn to be robbed? There were several robberies that week. Merriman and Central City were two of the robberies that week. But the day before this robbery in Hay Springs, there was a heist in Lincoln, which resulted in the theft of $2.7 million in cash and securities. It was the largest bank heist in history until the Brinks job 20 years later, which was $2.775 million. So $2.775 million is worth $36.3 million today. And if you think about it, it's still pretty dang close to the Brinks job because the Hay Springs one, or the one in Lincoln was 2.7 and the Brinks job was 2.775. It's almost the same. But for the amount of money these guys stole, they didn't even hit $1 million. They didn't even hit $500,000. They were just under $500,000 today's money. So, yeah, I get why it was forgotten because you had this gigantic one literally the day before.
Again, this is like I said, it's the Elliot Ness days. This is the part where Al Capone and the Dillinger Gang and Bonnie and Clyde. All those were roaming the U.S. And they went through the Midwest, several of them.
Yeah.
And they went here to look for banks. They weren't going to go rob things in Chicago. They went to the small towns out here to rob banks. It was very, very common.
So even though some of the suspects were successfully arrested in that Lincoln heist, the money itself was never retrieved. So that also makes a difference because they apparently knew what to steal more than the guys in Hay Springs did. So naturally, that's going to get more press. These dudes stole a crap ton of money. No one knows what happened to it. It's like the whole D.B. Cooper thing. No one's ever found the money. No one's ever found any evidence. Did he crash? Did he, get his parachute out and live and take off with the money to, Mexico or Venezuela or whatever? We have no idea. So when you have that added mystery, of course it's going to be like that. And in my opinion, if you were the robbers of the Brinks job, I would have the money separated from me for a good long while, so that if I got caught,
and who did the Brinks
I'll
job?
Go do, I forget.
Isn't that a famous game?
It's one of the most famous robberies in U.S. history. But if it was me, I would make sure the money was separated from me for a very long time, so that if I did get caught and go to jail, I still got my money when I get out. I'm not a crook. I'm not going to rob a bank. But if I was, that's what I would do. And it makes me think of this stupid episode of Remington Steele. I loved that show when I was a kid. They were on the case trying to find this money that had been stolen. And if I remember correctly, basically these dudes worked at the treasury where you burn the old bills. And instead they were stealing the bills. They put it in a coffin, had it shipped over to France, I think it was, and buried, and had somebody's name on it, and had it buried. And then they basically sat and wait for the what do you call that again? The length of time before they can't charge you anymore for the crime. It just went out of my head. So anyway, these dudes go to France and they're like, yay, and just after midnight, they dig up the coffin and they start, divvying up the money. We got away with it. And, Laura Holt and Remington Steele are there with the French cops, and they're like, oh, no, we nabbed you. And we nabbed you because it's after midnight in France. It's not after midnight yet in America. So the time had not expired yet.
The thing is you couldn't wait a day.
Yeah. So my stupid 15-year-old brain went, okay, if I rob a bank, I'm just going to wait an extra year just to be sure. So this is why the robbery in Hay Springs isn't remembered. Every single search I made for this story with the accurate date pulled up this heist in Lincoln. I could not
overshadowed.
Yeah. And it's not surprising because it was $2.77 million in cash, and you had
a piddly 7,000.
Yeah, 7,500. Yeah, about that. So yeah, nobody's going to remember that one, but I'm glad somebody did. I'm glad somebody interviewed this Holstein dude, and I'm glad the story got published, so at least there is a little bit of memory out there. Holstein had a bit of advice for others after his experience in the robbery. Always be honest. Yeah, I'm not going to hold up a bank. I don't want to go to jail.
And always hang on to your melons.
Yes, man, those cantaloupes.
Hang on to your melons.
You drop your melon, it's all crushed. Your mom's going to yell at you, and your visiting grandma might yell at you too.
Drop your melons, guys. You shit in Shinola.
So that's it for this week. I hope y'all enjoyed this little two-parter about Hay Springs. We got some more stories I'm working on. We'll get to them in the near future. I'm not going to tell you what next week's episode is, because
we're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
What's the deal with it?
Yeah. Just come back and listen. For now, I hope y'all enjoy your day or afternoon or evening, or if you're up at 2 a.m., go get some sleep. And we'll be back next time. For now, I'm Irene.
And I'm Connor.
And this is Storytelling on the Plains.